Tarrant County Master Gardener Association has partnered with the Tarrant Regional Water District to encourage water conservation. TRWD maintains 4 area lakes and pipelines needed to provide surface water to local water treatment plants so they can clean that water to meet drinking standards for our communities. There are currently 2.3 million people living in Tarrant County, and this is expected to double over the next 50 years. At SaveTarrantWater.com, you can sign up for free weekly watering advice custom to your location. There's also an event calendar where you can find information about future classes and workshops. So be sure and check out SaveTarrantWater.com to sign up for their free services.
We're going to talk a little bit about homeowners' greenhouses, hobby greenhouses, whichever way you want to call it, instead of the commercial that a lot of our groups have. There are tremendous amounts of different kinds. You can buy them in boxes, you can buy them from companies, you can build them yourself. It just all depends on what you want to do and what's interesting to you. This particular one is a kit from Texas Greenhouse that was put up. Texas Greenhouse is one of the bigger greenhouse suppliers in this part of the country, and they do a wonderful job. It's glass, as you can see. It's aluminum. It's easy to put up. It's lightweight. The clips go in here and here to hold in the glass. So it's really a nice system, and easy to put up and easy to maintain. And if something accidentally gets broken, a limb breaks off, something goes in, it's easy to pop out one and to replace it. So there's lots of things you can do. This is a nice, it's 10 by 12. It's a good size for the average homeowner. It has a nice easy peak to it, has an exhaust fan here in the front, has an exhaust fan in the back. And just a second, when we go in, you'll see the little swamp cooler that helps keep it cool. Plus it has another fan to help direct a little bit of cool. And that's 2 to keep it nice. This one, she's got shade cloth going over the top, and that is easily to take off if it needs a little bit more sun, or if it gets a little too hot, then the shade cloth is there to help control the heat inside. So what we're going to like to do real quick is introduce Claudia. Claudia is one of our master gardeners. This is her greenhouse and her pace, and then her place to play and have a good time. So Claudia, tell them why you bought this.
Well, I bought it because Master Gardeners, of course, inspired me, and I do a lot of work at the demo garden, which I invite anybody to come see. Everybody should see our demo garden. In the greenhouse there, I learned so many things.
Hey there. See, we got a fun little addition here.
I learned so many things and was so inspired to do a few things for myself. And we always get little sprigs of things or a little handful of seeds, and I would want to come home and try those myself.
All right, so we're on the inside, and you can see here's the other exhaust fan out up here. It's controlled by a regular thermostat, almost similar to what you would have in your house. So when it gets too hot inside, that opens up and exhausts all of the warm air from the inside out. There's a fan on this side that you can't really see real easily, but that helps to push that hot air from that side over so that it goes out this way as well. Above it is another exhaust fan that takes it out from that side, so that makes it easy to get all of that hot air out of here and help keep it cool. Down below you have a swamp cooler, and that keeps it cool during the summer, so that it puts out a little bit of cool air. It's not refrigerated as such, but if those of you that have been around a long time, swamp coolers are really nice, especially when the humidity's out, because it just recirculates that. Here with the fan, that keeps blowing that around so that it gets to all the plants easily. Here we've got shelves on both sides. These are metal shelves with expanded wire bases. Those are really nice. So Claudia, tell us what do you grow in here?
Well, I have a number of rain lilies in my yard, and in my opinion, you cannot have too many rain lilies. So the other day I gathered some seed off my rain lilies, and I started some new. Of course, what I will be doing with these is putting some in my yard, but mostly I'll be sharing, because this is hundreds of little rain lilies. But here's some cuttings that I made from a devil's backbone. This is a plant that I bought at our demo garden this week, and it's just sitting there being nursed until I get an opportunity to put it in the ground. But mostly I grow things for my own amazement and my own yard and
amazement and amusement. Huh?
Amazement and amusement.
There we
That's
go.
what it is.
Well, cool. So here on the base, you've got concrete or flagstone bases, and then you've got a rock on the pea gravel for the outside. Do you have any problem with weeds or anything in there?
Only when I drop seeds.
Well, that, amazing how that works.
Seeds, or when like a mother of million will drop her little babies on the ground. But those are very easily to be picked up. But generally, I have no weeds whatsoever in the greenhouse. Because I do all my propagation outside on the bench.
I noticed you didn't have any irrigation here, so you're using just a regular hose-in sprayer.
Yes.
To water everything.
Right.
That's good. Do you have any other issues with not being able to get out here enough to water it? Not having an automated system?
An automated system would be fun and a nice thing to have. It would be very handy. However, there are some things, some of the cactus or some of the succulents that don't need water.
True. And
then at the same time, I've got something else in here that does need more water. So I'm kind of like the control. Maybe.
All right. Well, good deal. So we got straps here.
I got straps there for my hanging baskets in the winter time, so I can hang a basket up there and protect it through the winter.
Well, very good. Well, this is kind of the basis of a smaller hobby greenhouse. Easy to maintain, easy to take care of. As you can see, you're watering by hand. You just take a couple steps here to get to one end, a couple steps back to get to the other end. Has plenty of drainage down with the pea gravel at the bottom. Get plenty of sunlight if you need it, or you can put the shade cloth over to help restrict some of that and keep the heat down. Do you know what percentage shade cloth you have?
I do not know.
Okay. Most people are using 55-60%, which cuts out 55-60% of the sunlight and still allows enough to come in to help do a little bit of photosynthesis and as well as to help keep a little bit of heat going on in here as well. So it's a good idea that you got it, easy to take care of. How often do you take it off, or do you?
I usually take it off in the fall and lay it out on my driveway, hose it down real good, clean it up, clean up the outside of the glass outside here, kind of on jet on my water hose.
There you go.
And just clean it real good, let it dry, fold it up, and put it away until late spring, early summer.
Okay. So one last thing to think about is, we're getting warmer here in Fort Worth, and so we don't have as much cold temperatures as we used to. And now we're up to zone 8A, and they talk about zone 8B here, here in another year or two. So it's just getting warmer. But on the occasion that you get a freeze, what do you do to heat in here?
Okay, I've chosen to use a oil-based radiator. And I've got a little oil-based radiator that I just pull in. I put it right here in the middle of the greenhouse, and I've got power source over here, and just use that heater set on thermostat. And somewhere here, Steve, I have a little thermocube that I bought online, and I believe farmers or people that raise chickens use these in their little houses for the baby chicks, and it comes on at I think about 35 degrees.
Good, I think you're right. Yeah, it's in that area, so that's a good deal.
I plug my heater into it and my extension cord into the power source.
Can't beat that.
So
there you go. Well, good. Well, now we covered cooling, we covered heating, we covered the watering, we covered the basics of what you're going to do. With a 10 by 12, you can get a lot of plants in here, believe me. We're going to stop here, and Claudia, thank you for sharing, and just let everybody know that, hey, it's not as hard as it seems. It can be done. They can have lean-tos, they can have Quonset huts, they can have this type, I mean, every different style and shape, all you got to do is have a little time, hopefully a little money helps.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, nothing's cheap these days.
Right.
And the willingness and increments to get out and have fun and to raise some plants in the garden, and yeah, that's what it's all about. So thanks, and we'll get back in the next one. And we're going to do another greenhouse, show you a different style. We talked about earlier, there's all different types of hobby greenhouses. This is a completely different style. This one is made out of wood and polycarbonate. All right, as you can see, it's attached with self-tapping screws that have a rubber grommet underneath. It works just as well. It lets in sun. Probably the only downside to the polycarbonate over glass is that the glass stays the same visibility over years. With the sun exposure, the polycarbonate will turn yellow, and so it lets in less and less light over a period of time. As we go in, it's just a regular, more of a patio type door, which is fine. Works well. So now we can go inside to see the differences between this one and the last one. And now we look on the inside. So the inside, as you see, wood. You know, this looks like probably either treated or maybe redwood. It's hard to tell, but it works exceptionally well. On the inside, instead of the metal and screen tops, they've used treated lumber, which works well. But again, even though it's treated, eventually enough water on it, it causes issues. We have a exhaust fan here at the top, just like we did at the other one, but no exhaust fan on this side. They have a ceiling fan just to make it a little cooler and to move a little air around. They don't have a swamp cooler in this one, so it's not going to cool as easy during the summer. But it's really, a nice hot day, and it's really pretty nice on the inside. The lady that owns this probably considers this a little bit more of a she shed than a greenhouse, but it has all of the availabilities of doing it. They have a sink, they have water, they have electricity. Again, you've got your controller back here with your thermostat to control the exhaust fan, and they chose to put rock here. Now this winter, they're going to upgrade a little bit, and you can see here on the table, they're going to put brick in as a floor. So they have a pattern of brick laid here to see what they're going to do, and that'll make it a little nicer. It's not going to be quite as uneven, easier to walk on, easier to control the weeds, and easier to control moisture and things. So lots and lots of different kinds of hobby greenhouses. This is a little bit bigger than the other one, a little bit wider, which is fine. Everybody has their own ideas, but again, all kinds of neat things. It's a little taller, and no shade cloth on this one. What they did is they went to a darker polycarbonate for the top to act as a shade cloth, which works just as well. So I advise you, if you're going to look at and think about a hobby greenhouse, look at all the different types. Look to see what works for you, what fits your decor, what fits your needs. You can still get a lot of potted plants in here during the winter to overwinter if you need to. Probably just not as easy to do as much propagation here as you would in some of your greenhouses. But again, the hobby greenhouses are not usually not a big propagation area like we would think, as much as overwinter and to maybe repot a few things and to do some things there. So we wanted just to show you a couple different styles. The outside of this is a beautiful little house. You got a little picket fence around it, plenty of flowers, plenty of color, and it just really accents the rest of the house and the rest of the grounds that it's on. So try something different. Again, wood versus aluminum. Aluminum's going to last a little longer versus wood. If you ever should have a fire or an issue, then you're going to have a little bit more issue with the wood going up than you would of aluminum, because aluminum's not going to burn. Polycarbonate melts. whereas the glass, will survive a little longer unless it's a really heavy blaze. I can replace the small pieces of glass a lot easier than I can replace big sheets of polycarbonate. But again, a little bit less cost versus a little bit more ease of maintenance. So hopefully it'll give you some ideas of what we're talking about, and maybe think about what you want to do. Get on the internet, look at all the different kinds of hobby greenhouses. But first of all, before you ever do it, we always want to recommend sit down, do your homework, get a sheet of paper out, and decide what do you want to do with that hobby greenhouse. What is your issues? What are your goals? Do I have water? Do I have electricity? Do I have a method of heating? Do I have a method of cooling? How much money do I want to invest in it? Is it something I just want to put up a little bit of plastic sheeting and a little frame just to overwinter? Or is it something I want to have as a permanent fixture on my ground? So think about some of those things. Think about doing your homework first. And again, we're going to film a couple others, and we'll let you know and see some of the different types and some of the different issues that come up with it, and some of the different reasons that people put in a hobby greenhouse. This is more a hobby hothouse probably than a greenhouse. It is actually built onto the back side, an integral part of the garage. So it's on the inside. It has no openings to the top, so all it has is the windows coming in from the side. So all of the light is done by lighting on the inside instead of getting natural light. It works. It's just a different way of doing it. This way you don't have the separate structure. It's all part of what you're doing anyway. So kind of neat. So in a minute, we'll just take you inside and show you some of the things that are done inside. Well, come on in, and now you can see the inside of it. It's a very unique structure, like I said, built onto the backside of the garage. Not a typical lean-to. It's actually a part of the construction of what's going on. So as you come inside, you can see it is small and long. Has wooden boards and shelves on each side. Has a tile-type floor that is not to have an issue with water. Has the same type of wall structure that you would have like in a shower, so that you don't have to worry about the paint or that type. Anyway, big windows, and then as you can see, all kinds of lights going on up here at the top, and then individual can lights as well. So more of a hot house or hot room. You don't have to worry as much about cooling and heating. As you see up in the top, they have regular ventilation, so it has air conditioning. It also has obviously heater too, so that's nice. You get some ambient light coming in from the side, and so that gives you nice to look out, but it also gives you a little heat there during the summer, and gives you a little bit additional lighting. As you said, we have regular fluorescent lights up here. We have can lights in here for specialty items. They've got long shelves here on both sides. This is a wood, she couldn't remember the name of it, but it's a special wood that is resistant to water issue. You've got different other pots in here, there's not too much you're going to have in a greenhouse during the summer, obviously, because everything's going outside so you can enjoy it, but it's a neat place to do something. Here in the back, it's got a regular sink. You got irrigation, so that if you want to water by hand here, you can. Plenty of places to hang things. So again, we just wanted to show you some different ideas and some different structures. One of the things that you're going to have to look at on something like this is if you get an insect issue in here, it is possible they could go into the rest of the garage. So it's actually part of that and using the same heating and air system. So you may want to be aware of that. That could be an issue. It could, because of the central heat and air, you could have a little more issue with kind of keeping certain things cool, certain things warm enough. So, again, ups and downs to both sides. The nice thing about it is that it's inside. It's part of the construction. You can use it as long as you want to. And if you end up getting tired of having plants and don't want to do it anymore, you can always use it as just an area to store pots like she's done. They have a lot of pots outside, so that way they can bring them in, store them inside so they don't have to worry about weather, and then pot them up, take them outside and put them outside. So lots of ways to use a greenhouse, lots of ways to use a structure. And again, we just want to show you some of the very different kinds and things to think about. So once again, your imagination is your limit. Your pocketbook is the other limit, obviously. Some people have the ability and some people don't. But this is giving you 3 different types of greenhouses to see this morning. One with aluminum and glass, another one with wood and polycarbonate, and then the third one is the integral part of a home with regular windows and tile floors and bathroom type wall features so that you don't have to worry about mildew and water and things, and it's easy to wash down and keep track of. So hope this helped you. Hope this given you some ideas of things that you may or may not do. And we'll talk a little bit more about some other things as we go.
Today we're at one of our master gardeners, Bill Vandiver, and this is his 10 by 24 hobby greenhouse. It's put out by Texas Greenhouse. He's had it. How long have you had it now, Bill?
I've had one for about 10 years, but that one's about 3 years old.
All right, he's been playing with them for 10 years plus, and this one got torn up by the storm, so they got a brand new one courtesy of the insurance company. And he's had it 3 years. So we're going to just go in and look at just a little bit of the differences between this one and some of the other ones that we have looked at previously. Now we're on the inside of it. This is a 10 by 24, nice greenhouse. It's got all the same things that most of the other ones had. We've got lighting here. We've got the coolers here. We've got the heaters here. We've got the exhaust fan up at the top and then an exhaust vent down at the bottom. Again, all controlled by a thermostat. We've got a fan there to help blow and circulate the cool air. And what this one has that the other ones didn't, this one has an irrigation system. So it has some mist system coming up out here, hanging this way, and then he's got a mist system going a little bit down here too as well. It's all depends on how much you want to add to it. Again, this is aluminum frame, glass construction, aluminum shelves, both small and large, pea gravel here down in the middle, and then some stepping stone walkway here in the center. So Bill, what do you think? Hey, have you enjoyed the greenhouses?
Oh yeah.
Do you use it more than for just overwintering things, or do they actually grow things in here?
Well, I grow things all the time.
Like what?
All of this.
All the succulents?
Succulents and all them up yonder.
Okay.
Those over there.
So what have you found, what if you were going to say what's your biggest benefit to having it, what would it be?
Pleasure.
Pleasure, okay. What's the biggest downside to it?
I'm having a problem with my system, and it gets water where it don't belong.
Okay.
That's the main thing that I've got going right now.
That's always a problem, anytime you're doing irrigation in the greenhouse, is to make sure it's going to the right places and then in the right times. Do you have any insect issues in here?
Mm-mm.
Have you had any insect issues during the winter, in the white fly or?
Mm-mm.
That's good. What about disease?
No.
No powdery mildew or anything?
No, sir.
Well, you're doing it right then. We just wanted to show you a little bit something different. It's nice to have the length in here to do different things and have choices. Not everybody has the room for something that's 24 feet long, but you can overwinter a tremendous amount of plants in here. You can propagate a tremendous amount. It just all depends on really what you want to do. I would caution you before you jump off into a 10 by 24 to make sure that you have one room 2, that you have enough plants to fill it, and 3, you have enough time to take care of it. You know, because there is some issues that you always have to keep maintained, keep them clean, keep them updated, and all those kinds of things. We have shade cloth up on the top, which keeps a little of the sunlight out. Do you know what percentage it is, Bill? 50%, 40%?
50, I think.
Okay, that looks about right. So 50% shade cloth. That way you can take it on and off when you need it. Do you have any trouble keeping it cool?
Here?
Yeah, in this.
Yeah.
Just because it gets 100 degrees outside.
Well, it gets more than that in here.
But you've got a little bit of benefit in between, being in between the buildings and in between the fence. That helps a little bit as well. So, anything you want to add to it? You would have done different if you were changing it, or?
No, I wouldn't have.
You wouldn't add what?
The cooler.
Why?
That's useless.
It's useless. Okay.
When you got the exhaust fan going, it goes that way. Cooler goes this way. Who do you think gonna win?
Well, maybe we just had it reversed, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then that makes sense too. You always have to think about it when you're exhausting air going out. You want to make sure that your cooler is at the other end, and not fighting each other. So always something to kind of keep in mind there. But really, I think you got a nice greenhouse. You got places, pipe over here to hanging baskets. You got irrigation. If you're not having any insect or disease issues, then you're doing good. How's your heater work?
Heater works wonderful.
Is that just a straight electric, or is it a?
Yes. Got gas out here.
Gas too? Oh, good.
Compliments of Teresa's husband.
Well, you can't beat a deal like that. And how are you doing with the wood in here? Is the wood not doing too good with all the moisture, is it?
No, it's about to fall apart.
So that's something you got to think about. But other than that, enjoy it, have a good time. Yes, you see you've got a lot of your chemicals and stuff up here. That's one thing you want to be sure and think about is where you're going to store them. How you're going to store your chemicals so they're not absorbing a lot of moisture and not in the way of people getting into and actually using them where they don't need to be. So, Bill, thanks for letting us come and look at it. I think it's a great greenhouse. I think you've done a great job with it, and enjoy the gardening.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this is our last installment of the home hobby greenhouses. We're at one of our master gardeners, Sue Kelly, and she has a greenhouse that's very, very unique. It's approximately 16 by 30, and I'm going to let Sue tell you real quick how it came into be.
Okay. My dad was a nurseryman, so I was always interested in what he was doing. Not that I really did that much, but anyway, at one point, then I decided, in the early 90s, I decided that I'd really like to have a greenhouse. And that was after Dad passed away. And so my husband's a firefighter, and every firefighter has several jobs. And one of the guys was a cement contractor. So he poured the footing, and then the windows around the greenhouse came from a school in Everman that was being rebuilt or refurbished. And he had a fireman friend who was a welder. So that's how it got put together. We've done several things to keep it warm or whatever. And of course, the heating in this one is certainly different.
Imagine.
Well, I mean, it is a unit that could even go in a house.
Well, cool.
There was a fireman who was an electrician, and he had this extra thing. And I've thought, I will never be able to afford it. But, it's really not.
Yeah, good.
And so it's really well heated. And I really do very little in it, except it's really a really nice storehouse, because many things that I have out in the yard have been stored in here for several seasons.
Well, good. Well, let's go look at it up close. So it's a little bit like the one we talked about the other day with wood construction up here on the top, and then it has polycarbonate for the top, Wood is all the way here, and we've got a little particle board on the outside edges going around. As you can see with the tree issues, when you have a lot of trees around, you get a lot of pine needles, you get a lot of leaves, you get some soil built up. So you do have to periodically get up there and clean it off, or else you're going to have issues. You know, it's going to block your sunlight off. But with all the windows on all the sides, you got plenty of light coming in, believe me, and plenty of ventilation. So you got some unique benches here.
Well, the high school in Everman had a greenhouse. It was one of those federal grants, and they used it a few years, but then I think it was one of those where you had to keep it so many years before you could dispose of it or whatever. So it was being used the last year or two by the football training staff. They had lots of that kind of stuff in there. And so when they decided to tear it down or remove it, I got the benches from them. And they've worked very well.
Expanded wire tops.
Yeah.
Welded bottoms, all kinds of different pieces of material put together.
Yeah, really, that's another one of those welding things probably.
Yeah, that's great.
And here's the heating unit right here.
All right, so you got a big furnace there. That's great.
Thermostat's right behind you.
Okay.
Then I do have I have the meter back there, and then the temperature gauge here also.
Yeah, it's good to have a big thermometer inside, so you can tell both the inside and outside. And it's just kind of a unique thing. So not everybody has the room for this. Not everybody has the ability to gather material, but it just shows you what you can do. The one thing I noticed that obviously there's not a lot of tall people in your family.
No, we're
So,
all little people.
I'm having a duck as I come by and hold on so I don't hit my head. But that's okay too,
And the fans, we did. I
Yeah.
did put the fans in.
So we got the fans on each end, so that's good to get a little ventilation. You got the heat here, so you don't have what do you do for cooling other than just opening windows and the fans?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, because most everything's out of there
Yeah,
by now.
true.
Just a few things. And you can tell I was a former florist because of all of the containers and some of this other stuff.
That's okay too. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
And so again, a little bit of looks like mulch on the floor. We got some just bricks that were being reused from different things. We got all kinds of chemicals here,
It probably shouldn't be in here.
which really shouldn't be in the greenhouse without being in a locked up cabinet, but
I have some tubs back there to put all that in. That just hadn't happened.
does absorb a little moisture. What do you do about irrigation in here?
Oh, well, I've had water in here before and something,
Okay.
I had a faucet.
Some tubs. There you go. The good old trash can.
Yeah, and I have, I put fertilizer in
Uh-huh.
it before I use it. But that's one thing that's on the list to do is to get the water back.
Water back in?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, how they
Yeah.
can say,
If you got a lot of plants in there, you might need it.
especially when we have,
Do you have any insect issues being underneath all the trees back here?
not
Okay. Any disease issues?
No,
Yeah?
no, because this is definitely not airtight.
Right.
So it's fine in the winter. I really never have had mealybugs or whitebugs
Yeah.
or anything to speak of.
You got a lot of protection from the trees and stuff, so you probably, unless it's just a really super bad year, you probably don't have to worry too much about it, and that's good. And with the windows open, you get the natural predators coming in and feed on any insects that would develop. You got plenty of airflow, obviously. So I think it's neat. I applaud you for the use of different types of material and for being inventive.
It's fun to play in.
Yeah. Anything else you would suggest to people? Any good tips about having a hobby greenhouse?
You really do need water.
Yes. That's important.
Yeah,
It's important,
And have a place outside when it gets really hot, because
Sure.
that's what I thought outside.
Yeah.
We need to.
So you got a little potting shed outside, but hey, enjoy it and have fun and look at all the different opportunities. Here's a different one that was kind of unique, and it makes yours different than everybody else's. So I hope that gave you some ideas about a hobby greenhouse. Hope you enjoyed it. We've had a lot of fun filming it. and seeing a lot of different issues and different things. So have a great day.